Hey everyone, I'm Aaron, and this is the Undaunted Pursuit Podcast, the place where bold faith meets real talk. Each week we open up God's Word, dive into life's challenges, and sit down with incredible guests who share their pursuit of Jesus. No fear, no holding back. This is Undaunted Pursuit, and the journey starts now. Okay, my goodness. It started us another thing there. Anyway, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty cool intro, huh? I've been trying to, I know that I have been messing around with these intros for quite a while, but I don't know. I like playing around with it, and I think I found one that's going to stick.
It's like me and rearranging the furniture.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody, welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. We're glad to have you here this week, and we took a week off, right?
We did.
Well, and for good reason, right? Because me and you try and do this on the weekends when we've done everything. You know, when we can really get together and the kids are off doing their own thing and everything. And last weekend was really hard. The weather has turned finally. And you're sitting here. I gotta laugh because you're sitting here, freezing. And we're in the studio in the basement, and we got our heater done here, but we still have,
because we don't have an outdoor plug.
Exactly.
We have extension cords running through an open window.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't work when it's 40-some degrees outside and you're sitting right next to an open window.
So Ashley is freezing tonight.
I'm cold.
And hey, because here's the thing. It's supposed to be 34. We're under a frost advisory tonight into tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And so can you believe that already? There are people listening right now that have no idea what frost is right now. They can't even fathom it.
I was talking to some friends in Arkansas, and I was telling them that we're supposed to get down below freezing tonight. And they were like, oh, I could only wish for it.
I'm sure it is. So speaking of being cold, right? So last week, and the reason there wasn't an episode last week is because I decided to go hunting, which I tell you what, right now here in Idaho, elk hunting and me it's just frustrating. I dropped the ball. I didn't get the tags that I wanted, so I had to go with this other one, this other unit. And, so I took Austin, and, needless to say, long story short, we get up there at 8:00 at night to our camp spot.
Their blankets.
Exactly. And pillows. Yes. But we still had 3, crappy, I mean, they're old, right? These
very
sleeping
old
bags.
Sleeping bags. One was mine from when I was a child. One was yours from when you were a child. And the other one's one we picked up somewhere. I can't remember.
And I decided that we were just going to sleep. It would be easier because I'm towing a trailer. I'm towing it side by side. And I decided, we'll just sleep in the back of the truck. I've got a tarp. We'll just tarp the back of the truck. Well, that tarp didn't cover the back of the truck all the way. So we froze. It come about.
Now keep in mind, this is 2 hours from here and it's up in elevation.
Yeah, it's at about 6,200 feet.
So although it was a nice 45 that night here, it was not a nice 45 they were camping. They were freezing. It
was cold. We were up every 2 hours, Austin and I, which is our second oldest. And we were up every 2 hours. Beautiful night, by the way, though. I mean, just the stars and the Milky Way and everything like that, because it's completely dark, completely quiet.
Out in the wilderness.
Yeah. It was awesome, but it was cold. And Austin, our little firebug, he made us a nice rip-roaring fire that was just awesome to sit by when we finally got camp set up.
Well, he said it was just made him really upset because it didn't last all night long.
But then it burned all day the next day. So, but it was frustrating. We walked, I don't know, about as much as we rode. And, by the time we got home that weekend, I told Austin when I woke up that next morning, I turned the truck on, let it heat up, and we had
drank hot coffee in the hot car.
Yeah. We had hot coffee in the truck, with our breakfast. We had those little dehydrated meals, and we just boiled some water and put that in there, and it was great. But, we didn't see anything. I mean, it was, and even just being out in the woods was just eerily dead quiet out there. And, so I told Austin, I was like, dude, I am not spending another night sleeping in the back of that truck. We are going home. If nothing convinces me to stay, which we would have to hear an elk, see a herd, whatever. If nothing convinces, I will not spend another night in the back of that truck.
Which you ended up getting home for dinner, and I was making dinner as you were walking in.
Yeah, but we were all beat.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we fell asleep by like 8:30 on the couch, everybody in the family.
Yeah, and if there's any weekend to do a Sabbath rest, that was the weekend to do a Sabbath rest, because and like a true one, right? Where we all know what that means, right? It's to do things that you enjoy and all that, but to actually rest, that would have been the weekend. And I'm telling you, what, me and you curled up on the couch, I passed right out for a couple hours, and I went to bed still ready to pass out early. So that's why. That was a busy weekend, and now this weekend wasn't no slouch either, but we're here.
We project all weekend.
Yeah, it was good though. I enjoyed this week's projects, right? Mm-hmm. I'm slowly being convinced that I am an electrician.
We're forced to be an electrician.
Well,
it's not a trade that you wanted to be.
Right. But I think I'm becoming pretty dang good at it. After how many electrical boxes have I wired from scratch? Now I feel pretty good about that.
2, 3, 4 in your shop alone.
Yep.
1 as soon as we can get the outdoor plug pieces that they did not have in stock today.
And a heater.
And a heater. Yeah.
And and a big milestone in our house.
That's right. We actually are going to get a fan in our front room. A
ceiling fan in our front room. Now that is pretty cool because there was absolutely nothing there. So this is like virgin ground for us. And we actually had to, so, I mean, it's pretty cool. You know, we are, not for hire though on the electrical side. Not for hire. I don't even know if I'm doing it to code, but I'd like to think that I'm better than some that we've seen.
I know you're better than at least one that I've seen.
Yeah. But, oh man. No, so, here we are freezing, and we had a great dinner tonight. We were trying to figure it out. That was the beauty of when we were living in Arkansas, that
Sundays I never had to come up with a meal because we did family dinners.
Man, that'd be nice.
It would be nice. And so it ended up, somebody else would think of a theme, and then you just bring something that matches, right?
Yeah.
And that was really nice. I really miss family dinners. For anybody who's out there in Arkansas, I really miss family dinners with all of you.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Yes.
But, it'd be nice to do here, especially anybody listening in the Grangeville, Idaho area. We should probably get on that. Well, we kind of do something like that on Tuesday, but it's a little different. That's our Bible study night.
Yes, Bible study is different.
So anyway, we had this great dinner. But the nice thing about living in Arkansas was we were so close to the Gulf that we could buy shrimp for like next to nothing. And so we still had,
throughout the year, they would have them on sale.
Yeah. So we still had a couple bags of shrimp, made an awesome dinner tonight. And this is leading up to this painful forehead that I got. I don't know. You can feel right there. I have a slight,
hit you that hard.
I have a slight knot.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're sitting at the dinner table, and I was, what was it? It was jalapeno.
It was a jalapeno
powder that we were putting on it. You put this. We had like a coconut milk.
So I made a garlic shrimp with coconut rice and coconut sauce over the top.
Very Caribbeanish. Like, here we are going into wintertime, and this bring me right back to the Caribbean.
Right.
And
the only thing missing was some grilled pineapple.
Yeah. But so she throws this thing at me, tossing it to me, and it hit me like, I don't know, I caught it just right, but I caught it too late, and it just hit me dead in the head, square in the head.
It made a sound.
Yeah, you could hear it ricochet off my skull. And but I think there's a little knot there. I can feel it. It's bruised.
I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it.
But, all right. So I guess we better get into this. I gotta say one thing though. I thought about, Wyatt got off a little early tonight.
Yes, he did. We actually were going to start this sooner And just as we were sitting down, we get a phone call that Wyatt's ready to be picked up from work.
Right. And just before that, I was going to kick off this podcast was like, oh, I could have brewed, you know what would be really good right now? A cup of coffee, right?
For sure.
Right. And shame on shame on us for not having any, but I wanted to kind of plug that, Cross and Coffee Company again, and being out of the line of Judah Dark Roast. You guys need to check that out. It's really good, but it ruined us.
It did. Actually, it's took us a long, 2-3 weeks now to be able to actually drink the non-coffee that we
the junk coffee that we've got. I mean, because this stuff is no slouch. So, a little plug to them. Get it, Cross and Coffee Company. You can look them up.
But be prepared. You will not like regular coffee at the store anymore.
No, it's so damn smooth.
Good. It is so smooth that you will not like coffee from the store.
Yeah, because we do. We try and save a little money most of the time. We got 5 kids. We got a big family. We got to save money where we can. But, so we get to drinking this $7, $10 coffee, and you go to drinking this line of Judah Dark Roast, and it ruins you from the
You have to go through 3 bags of coffee before you're like, all right, this one's not so bad. I can stomach this one.
Yeah, good night. There was one that I think I ended up throwing away.
We did. Yeah, it was bad.
Not the Cross and Coffee Company, but the junk that we had bought from before.
After Cross and Coffee.
But after that, I was like, I can't drink this junk anymore. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
I need to do another order sometime, but it'll have to wait.
Yeah. Or they could send us a bag. That'd be nice.
That would be really nice, but they're a new company.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Cross and Coffee Company, if you guys decide that you want to find it in your hearts to send us some coffee, just to help us out. I mean, come on, we got 5 kids. For one, we need the energy, and not that their coffee's any more expensive than anything else, and it's really worth the price.
It is a good price.
It's worth the price. But really, I mean, we'll continue to plug you on here. And I'm sorry I've dropped the ball in the last several episodes, but one of them was a guest, the other one was us, but I dropped the ball on that one. But yeah, so go on there, order your Cross and Coffee. And Cross and Coffee, if you hear this and you want to do it, send us some coffee, email us at undauntedpursuit@gmail.com. And I will get you our address, or we're already in your system. I know that. So you can always look up Undaunted Pursuit in your system. And yeah, just what a blessing that would be, for sure. So, all right. So let's get into this week's study in Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Now, we got to remember what the preacher's talking about. I mean, he refers to himself as preacher Solomon. Right. What he's talking about, he's looking at this from a point of view of,
well, he's tried everything in the last. He's tried everything that money could buy. Anything under the sun. Under the sun.
That's the main thing that we need to take out of this. Is is the viewpoint in which he is looking at this is outside of Christ, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where, because we have going into this, it's going to sound really kind of dark at the beginning and depressing at first. Chapter 4 kicks off. He looks at this, everything being under the sun and these acts of oppression that were being practiced. And he saw these people that were being oppressed, and they have no one to comfort them, right? Those that are outside of Christ and being oppressed have nothing to look forward to. It's just, what do you put your trust in? Because everything else is fleeting, as we've already been through and beaten that horse to death. If you put your trust in everything else other than Christ, then there is no one left to comfort you. And the way the world looks is these oppressors had power. So everything has power. So with this viewpoint, everything has power, and there is nobody that can help you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
If you don't have God. Yeah.
If you don't have Christ. Yeah. So I congratulated verse 2. He goes into congratulating and considering these people that are more fortunate who have already died, right? It's like, good night. They are, lucky are those who are already in the grave because they're in a better place, right? Or maybe not, they don't have to put up with the hardships of this life anymore. I don't know if he took into account those in hell or or whatever. But either way, they're not in this life anymore. And that's what he's looking at, is this physical life in which we live. And, better are those who are already dead and passed on from this life and don't have to put up with this oppression anymore. But that's not the way we should look at things, right? And even more so, does he go into, well, if this is all we have to look forward to, and this is, you hear this argument a lot about, especially, think of an atheist that doesn't believe in God. They're living what we're talking about right now. They're living under the
oppression,
under the sun, because they're outside of Christ. And you got to sit down. You got to think that these people that don't believe in God, what are you living for? None of it matters. If that's the way you believe, if you don't believe in anything greater, like if you don't believe in God who is greater and created all this, what's the point of living? And that's what he does here in verse 3, is better off are those who had not been born. Because you may as well, if you're not living for something, if you're not living for Christ, then you're better off not born. You're better off not even existing at all. I don't know. What do you think there?
I'm agreeing 100%.
And then, it's the thing about who has not seen evil deeds that are done under the sun. At least they've been spared that. Those people that have been born, right, that had not been born yet, are spared the sight of not even having to go through that. And verse 4 transition into this idea of work and this effort and labor and every, this jealousy, right? If we're not, we work for Christ, right? We work for God, and we find our joy because God has given us this work to do. He, from the very beginning in Genesis, tasked mankind with work to do. And, I'm guilty of hating some of my jobs in the past, but, when you're there, you try and give God the glory no matter where you're at and what you're doing, right? Uh-oh. You got, hole in your lip there?
Apparently. No, a piece of ice blocked the hole, and it
I hate that
everywhere.
I hate that when it when it does that. Every skill and work comes from his man's rivalry. So, outside of Christ, right? So we're looking at this again. Outside of Christ, now you're working. What are you working for, right? Now this turns into a game. Mm-hmm. This turns into a game where now all you work for is to compete with your neighbor, which is not what we're supposed to do, right? Regardless of whether or not we hate our jobs or not, right? We like where we work or not, we still are working for the Lord. And so we are to act in that way, being in Christ and following his commands. We should be working as, our actions, oh my goodness, actions should reflect Jesus in whatever we do. But then you see, if you're outside of Christ, here in verse 4, that it's because of jealousy that you work. And this too is vanity and fleeting and chasing after the wind. You're not making any progress. It's not, life is not a competition. And then the reason for saying in verse 5, the fool folds his hands together. I kind of had that pulled up. He answers this because it's like the kids, right? Somebody is succeeding. We can look at any whatever worldly successful person we see, and it's like, well, I may as well. And you just fold your arms and stand back. Well, I may as well not do anything. He's doing it all and he's succeeding. So what good am I? Is that the way you take it?
No.
No? How do you take it?
So a fool folds his hands together and consumes his own flesh, destroying himself by idleness and apathy. So to me, a fool just sit there and be like, man, I really want what that guy has.
But I don't want to work for it.
But I don't want to do what it takes to get it, or I don't want to put up what has to be given over in order to get it, right?
I get it. Yeah, I guess
that's how I would take that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really word it. I guess that's what was going on in my mind, right? And here's what some of the commentary that I read from Enduring Word says. Solomon here answered the tendency for those jealous of success of others to be lazy. Like fools, they fold their hands and do nothing, and so waste away. Yet it wasn't the success of their neighbor that made them waste away. The foolish, lazy man consumes his own flesh. Yep. You're doing this to yourself, right? Yep. So,
it's to me, I would correlate it to like a lukewarm Christian, right? Or a only Sunday Christian, where you only go on Sunday just to church or whatever it is. And you have no action. You have no actual step forward, right?
Yeah.
To me, I would equate that to the same. It's a fool. You're sitting there with your arms crossed, not doing anything for yourself to better yourself.
And wondering why you're not maturing in Christ. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. You see a lot of these people that are just Sunday morning Christians, and that's in air quotes, right? That will sit and complain about every little thing. The music wasn't good. The sermon wasn't good. Nobody talked to me. And then, I'm not hearing God. God doesn't hear me. You hear all these comments coming from.
So what are you doing is the next question you generally would ask.
Exactly.
Well, what are you doing to make it better? Nothing. It's not my job. Nothing. I don't have to. I'm supposed to be spoon-fed this,
Yeah, God said he would bless me. Why hasn't he blessed me? Well, what are you doing? Think about it in a marriage situation, which we're about to get into in this chapter, is like, if I am not being at least somewhat proactive in our relationship to try and at least consider your feelings, then you're not going to care. We're not going to get anything out of our relationship together.
We're not going to progress further.
No, it'll just be superficial. And that is what's happening with this. If you're, with this Sunday morning Christianity it's just all superficial. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's getting at here.
So that's where I would take verse 5.
I like that.
Yeah.
One handful of rest and patience is better than 2 fists full of labor and chasing after wind. Hard work is good, right? Work is good. It's not, what the preacher here is doing is not condemning work. But you have to be mindful of what God established for us, right? Our bodies need rest. You can't just work till you die.
To me, so he said 1 fistful of rest and patience is better than 2 fists full of labor. You only have 2 hands. If you have 2 fists full of labor, you're never able to rest, right? So you need to have the one full of labor and then the other one full of the rest, and that's the equalizer. Yeah, you can't have. Yeah.
We tell the kids. I just made that comment today, right? We're not made of money. Yeah, it was something simple, right?
I don't remember what it was for though.
Eggnog.
Oh,
that's already
for the record. Those stores that are twisted enough to put eggnog out. The 1st of October, this family does not do well. It is immediately, second they see it, it is eggnog season, and we better have it at all times.
It's like,
so can we make this a thing? Not to put eggnog out until November, please.
But it's like, when I made that, be content with what you have, right? It's like, we're not made of money and always striving for the next best thing. There's always something better. The grass is always greener on the other side. And, you start going down that path of always wanting and not being content with what you got. And that's what he's going with here.
Yep.
It's better to have less and be content than to have more and constantly be grasping for
the
next biggest thing. Right? We found that.
Yep.
We have seen that ourselves. We are a living testimony of that. Yep, because, we weren't miserable making $80,000 a year with the fire department. But were we really happy?
No.
Not really.
Nowhere near as happy as we are now.
And yes, okay, if any of you were to come to our house, we have a lot of junk. We don't put any of our faith in any of it, right? I will sell off any of this junk. Most of it. Tools are important. guns are important, but not as important if need be, right? We have no problem downsizing what we need to downsize. And I know that this is not us boasting, but
if it was called on us to leave and everything we had to fit into one storage unit, we wouldn't have an issue getting rid of things. We would prioritize what we would absolutely need that would be really hard to replace, keep that in storage, and then go, right?
Right. And, that's the thing is...
The rest of it just comes and goes.
That was something I was thinking about. Like, for whatever reason, I was thinking about that. I don't know. This is not the podcast for that, but I was thinking about the hunting story and everything like that, and how I'm willing to... I love hunting, but I'm willing to let go of that to go where God's wanting to take us, Yeah. And that's the thing. All right. You got to be willing to let go of things. You got to be willing to be content with what you have. And that is what he's talking about here.
For sure.
I was trying to think about where to fit that in. That just came to mind because I was thinking about that earlier in the week when I was thinking about this podcast. And I was like, man, why was I thinking about that? I don't know. So that's essentially what he's saying. It's not saying hard work and success are good. They're not to be envied. Laziness is wrong. Laziness is destructive. Yet those of you that do work hard must learn to be content. We see that a lot. We've seen plenty of people constantly striving. People in our life now, people in our life from the past that just don't know when to rest, have enough, or be content. And I'm glad to see some of those folks in our lives presently learning that. And it's cool to see that process. It's like, good for you. You know what I mean? Rest. Family suffers when you don't rest. Your health suffers when you don't rest. God established this rest for a reason. So, and then he, and this is why, right? 7 through,
12.
Not 12, 7 through 8. Is 8 that long? I guess it is in the, Amplified, but he looks again at a particular form of vanity or chasing after the wind.
7 through 12 is both comparing single to
married, or couples, or not necessarily married, but community.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So let's look at the first part. 8 starts off. Now Solomon's looking at this man without anybody, single guy, right? Being single is okay, but who are you working for? This is the common theme throughout all this is who are you? Who are you laboring all of this for? Is it for God, or are you living under the sun? And then we all know that it's for nothing, right? There was no end to all his labor. Indeed, his eyes were not satisfied. There we are. We just went through that, talking about never being satisfied, always chasing after the next big thing, and it's all vanity. Because he never asks him. This guy never slows down enough to ask himself, why am I doing this?
Well, it makes, you look towards the end of it and it says, this too is vanity. Yes, it is a painful effort and an unhappy task. You've no happiness or no joy to bring you at the end of your day, right?
Yeah.
You come home. I mean, in this example, they said that he has, he has no dependent, he has no child, he has no brother, no sister, he's a single kid when he was growing up, who then is single in his life. Mm-hmm. Everything has revolved around him from the time he was born until now. And then he comes home, all of this effort, and it's unhappy and unjoyful.
Yep.
And you need people in your life, whether they're friends, whether they're family, dependents, you need those people in your life to put a check to your selfishness and to bring the vision of joy and understanding of joy around. Yeah.
And I think the preceding verses after this through 12, right, is not necessarily talking all about marriage.
No.
Like I said, but it's used a lot in this marriage. We used it just in our marriage series. Go back and listen to it. But we used it in that context. But I think it is also in a community context.
I agree.
Think about that. We've known plenty of single adult people that
recluse themselves,
or that do very well. I mean, we're not speaking out against, like, not everybody is destined to be married. No. And so it's okay to be single. But exactly.
But do not recluse yourself from community.
Exactly.
It's fine if God has intended you to be single, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But don't recluse yourself, because reclusing yourself and not getting together with community, not getting together with fellow believers is just as dangerous.
Yep. And chasing after the wind.
Yep.
What good are you? If you're just going to hole up in your house and focus only on your work and nothing else, you're grasping at the wind, thin air, a fleeting life. And so God never intended for this life to be lived alone. That's why.
Verse 12 is my favorite with that.
He created,
it says,
yep.
And though one can overpower him who is alone, two can resist him. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken.
Exactly.
Okay? So that to me, that's the perfect example, right? When you are being tested, when you are being, I lost the word.
Tempted.
Tempted. Thank you. That was the word. When you are being tested, when you are being tempted, whatever that looks like for you, if you are alone, it is harder to hold that shield. It is harder to hold that sword.
Exactly.
Whereas if you have two, or you have that community, or you have somebody other than just you, they can put that shield up for you, so you can take that arm down and let it actually get some blood flow to it.
Think about this. Who was it? Moses, wasn't it?
I would need an example.
Where they were battling and they had to hold as long as he kept his arms up, they were winning the battle. Mm-hmm. Was that Moses?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I know the story.
You know the story.
I can't think of who it is. Isn't that terrible?
Oh, my goodness. And it's funny. We talk about memorizing scripture and stuff, and it's like we got all this stuff in our heads, but I can't remember. I don't get all the details right.
Aaron and Hur held up Moses' hands during the battle with the Amalekites, yeah. So to ensure that the Israelites prevailed. So yes, it was Moses, and it was Aaron and Hur that were helping.
Where is that coming from? Do you know?
Yes,
does it say?
It is coming out of Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13.
Perfect example, right? Yep. Of what we are talking about here is...
That's three people. So the three strands are harder to be broken.
Yeah.
Are harder to be separated.
Well, just think about, that's not just three people, right? God was leading that victory.
For sure.
God is always at the top. Moses, and then the community of people that was around him, right? That's that three-cord strand that we're referring to. God, people, community. Or individual community.
Yeah, I didn't mean actual three people.
Right. But that is a perfect story to illustrate what we're talking about, right? They would be winning as long as he had his hands up. But the minute that he let his hands fall down, defeat, right? It's an example of how when we let our guard down, how the enemy sneaks in to destroy us, right? And it's just it's a great story. There's a reason it's there.
Yep.
But don't tell me you can't learn from stuff from the Old Testament that points to applicable things in our lives today. I like this. If we back up a little bit to verse 10, if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion, but woe to him who is alone when he falls and does not have another to lift him up. Yep. That's why I said that this is not just a marriage.
Yeah.
These are not just marriage verses. These are, how many people have we seen that need friends, and you get too caught up. It's so much easier to be tempted when you are alone and sit there in your own thoughts. And, when things are so quiet, to get distracted.
Easy to agree with yourself.
Exactly.
It's harder you have to put more reasoning in to disagreeing when somebody else is also telling you something that you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm referencing there is, you should not be doing any of these sins, right? Committing adultery or anything. If you're alone, it's easier to say, it's really not that bad. But if you have somebody coming alongside of you in the same walk of life with you and saying, dude, you know better than that.
Yeah.
You know this isn't going to lead to a good spot.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard for you to listen and agree with yourself.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. This is good. So those of you listening, if you're single, embrace that. Find that community. Don't hole up. Don't seclude yourself. Find the community. Believers, right? Good
community of believers.
Christian, Jesus followers that will give you good godly advice. That's what you need. That's what we're talking about. When we say that you need community, that's what you need. You need people that are going to tell you the truth. And then,
regardless of how bad it hurts.
Exactly. You've got to be able to hear and heed the godly wisdom that are being poured out through this community. Because here's the thing, verse 13, right? A poor yet wise youth is better than an old foolish king who no longer knows how to receive instruction and counsel. Look at how that just transitioned into that, right? So you have this poor yet wise. As long as you're wise, good godly wisdom. It doesn't matter. Your age doesn't matter. I tell the kids that all the time. That don't let, and it's the same thing that Paul tells Tim, don't let anybody look down on you in your youth. Just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise. Yep. You probably could have lived a life of stupidity, and be old. Yet we see a whole generation right now. Gen Z is probably, they're hungry.
They are hungry.
I've heard plenty of statistics here lately about this Gen Z generation that could, they could surpass some of these older generations like ours. That's good, right? That's discipleship.
Beautiful,
Yeah. And this is what should we learn from this? Don't be foolish. You receive this construct. Be willing to hear trusted people. Don't listen to just anybody.
Yeah.
I have a very small friend circle. You have a very small friend circle. And even then, we've got to weigh out because
you can be, they can be used.
Exactly. Regardless of whether or not they know it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. We've seen that. And, you have to weigh it against God's word and what he's telling you. But there are people that we trust in our lives, a very small few people that we can run things by that, and that's what I think everybody needs is a tight-knit group. You can't listen to everybody because everybody's going to contradict.
Do you know how hard it is to get people to agree?
Right.
So, small, trusted group of believers.
Yeah. So receive instruction, receive criticism, learn from it, and grow in wisdom and stature. Because here you can be the poorest person, but be wise, and you can come out of this prison in what I think he's talking about here is to become king, right? You can rise above this because Christ is pulling you through this. I think that's all I have to say on that one.
I totally got Forrest Gump.
I know. And that's all I have to say about that.
Sorry. I shoot random things out quite a bit, but that one truly, I just immediately went back to Forrest Gump on that one.
I think the end of this chapter, right? I was telling you, our secretary at work, I was telling her, she was all obsessed. She's all obsessed with this ancestry stuff. And, it's like, oh, well, what is she had made a comment about leaving something to her kids. I think, oh, heck, they ain't going to remember that. Here's the thing. And this is what I'm saying. There's no end, this verse 16, there's no end to all the people, to all who were before them, yet those who come later will not be happy with him. Surely this is also vanity, right? You're living under the sun. And in this story, I said, people are not going to remember you.
Not going to remember you personally. No.
Your most recent people probably will, but eventually you'll even be forgotten by the next generation, even after you're long gone.
I mean, let's be honest. I had a great relationship with my great grandfather. Okay, great relationship with him. I remember him, but that's right. That's 3 generations. I don't know anybody else.
Yeah,
anybody else from that point on in my family. He was the oldest person I knew, and I did have a very good relationship with him. Now, the reason for that, he raised my mother.
Yeah.
So because him and his wife and my great grandmother stepped up. She passed away when I was 7. And so I really did, I remember things from her, but Grandpa was there at my graduation and, he was there.
Yeah.
And he wasn't great grandpa, he was grandpa,
Mm-hmm.
He raised my mom, him and his wife.
Yeah.
And so, but that is the oldest I know, right? That's a 3rd generation. I knew him very well.
Yep.
You're not going to remember those people behind.
No, and I'm not saying that to be crass. I'm just saying that because or dark or whatever or heartless. Not at all. I'm saying that because that's the truth.
Yep.
It's like you're living this life with all these intentions to be remembered, to pass some sort of legacy down, whatever, pass generational wealth down. You're striving after all this earthly stuff when it doesn't matter. That he says here, this is also vanity and chasing after wind.
Yep.
People are going to forget you.
Yep.
But you know what? If you've passed down, if you have lived a life of following Christ, and this is what this all goes back. We're going to round this out and land this plane here in saying that you've lived this godly life, and you've lived it through your actions, the way you speak, the ministries that you started.
Every person you've ever encountered, you've lived it out.
Exactly. People are going to remember Jesus through you, not you particularly.
Which is what you want. You want them to know Jesus more than they know that you were their ancestor.
That is storing up treasures in heaven.
Amen.
That is leaving that inheritance for your, that's leaving that inheritance for your kids, is living a life of pursuing and following Jesus.
On the strong rock.
Yeah.
That will last through all ages.
Because the truth of the matter is, like we've been saying, none of this is going to be remembered by anybody eventually. So
in this day and age, I will say, you do have more things, right? I remember being a kid and doing all kinds of stupid stuff, but we didn't have video cameras. We didn't have the recorders. It wasn't until the late 90s that we actually got the recorder that you could record a phrase and then play it back, right?
Right.
But this day and age, I will say, you do have a greater chance of possibly being remembered. But do you? Do we ever get our VHSs out?
Right.
Do we ever, you know what I mean? So will you? By the time that technology increases, are they going to go back and listen on a computer to a sound wave? I don't know.
Yeah. Or, just look at, look at Billy Graham and, who was the most recent one? Not the most recent one, but, he was really good. Either way, just those types of people, right? Billy Graham's, those really influential, evangelists. And, there was another one, I can't remember his name. I've had him in some of my classes, they've used a lot of his material. So their names carry on, but only for so far, right? The most of it is, or some of this commentary, right? Spurgeon. I don't even know what the guy looks like, right? He's long past dead. He's a commentator that I read a lot of his commentaries. It's good stuff, but half the time I don't even pay attention to who wrote the commentary. And it's just like, that's what's carrying forth though, is this message of Jesus and the different, things he wants to speak through some of these influential people. But the people, their money didn't go with them. their fame didn't go with them. You know, they left a legacy. They left to Jesus, and that's what matters. So anyway, that's pretty much the end of chapter 4. You getting warmed up now?
No. I was just thinking, man, I wish I could close that.
I know. Maybe tomorrow. So, all right. Well, that is it for this week. Yeah, you look tired. Uh-huh. All right. Well, I guess we ought to discuss, we need dessert. We need dessert like a hole in our head, but it sure is good. And thanks to my grandma for always, we were just talking about that today, right?
We were with Belinda.
Yeah, stinking. Got to have dessert after every meal. It's just crazy. You know, I guess that's just the German or whatever. I don't know though. Is Nadia the same way? Or
yeah, Nadia's the same way.
Is she? Okay. All right. Well, either way, hey guys, thanks for listening to this week's episode on Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. Lord willing, we will see you next week for Ephesians chapter 5, unless something crazy comes out. And you know what? I will say this on this week. You know, you've been wanting to have Anthony Q. War. Anyway, that dude's pretty solid. You know,
I like it.
So hey,
I like it. If you get a chance, go check out his music. I really like it. I have pushed Aaron for about 3 weeks or more. Actually, longer than that. I think the first time I sent him to you was about 2 months ago. Yeah. I really enjoy his music, and he's got several. One of them right now is huge. It's getting really big. It's getting ready to go viral.
Yeah. So maybe I'll tag him in this since we mentioned him.
Do it.
That and Cross and Coffee. Of course, check out all that junk in the in the show notes for all the links and everything like that. So anyway, all right, that wraps us up. We'll see y'all next week, Lord willing. See you guys.
See ya.
Hey, thank you for joining us on the Undaunted Pursuit Podcast this week, where faith meets real life. Stay bold, stay faithful, and keep chasing after Jesus. Don't forget, follow us on social media. Like, subscribe, rate, whatever you got to do. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube especially. Check that out. We love all the support that you give us, and we want you to continue supporting us. Share this episode with somebody this week. That you, the listener, are what makes this all possible. And, as we go through this, we need your support, both by sharing episodes and monetarily. Be looking in the show notes for any pertinent links to where you can support us financially, where you can support our guests, where you can support the music that's used at the end of this. We just encourage you to follow and like anybody that is on here, because we're all under the same mission, and that's to spread the gospel of Jesus. If you guys want to reach out, send us an email at undauntedpursuit@gmail.com. Until next time, keep pursuing.